So now that you've learned some of the techniques for tackling the argument essay on the Common Core exam, it's time to start practicing. Because as with most things, it's through practice that you will improve. The first thing you should do is find the prompt and highlight it or underline it. So on your paper, you're going to highlight or underline the topic, should college athletes be paid? And you're going to keep that in mind while you are annotating the 4 texts. You should take the prompt or the topic and put it at the top of each text page so that as you're annotating, you'll remember that you're looking to answer that question. Is Serena a victim of gender bias? So that was at the top of text 1, and then as you go through, you'll remember that you're looking to say, no, she's not a victim, or yes, she is a victim of gender bias. And remember to code your notes in this way, and then to write the reason. So if I put an N for no, I have to say the reason why. If I put a yes, she is a victim of gender bias, I also put the reason why. Since your topic is should college athletes be paid, you're going to write that at the top of each of your text pages. Text 1, text 2, 3, and 4. You're going to write this so you remember that you're looking to say yes, college athletes should be paid, and place that by the evidence that shows you that yes, they should be paid, or an N for no, they should not be paid. And that you could keep looking at that question as you read each paragraph and say, does this give me an answer, yes or no, they should be paid? So right now, I want you to stop the video and go through each of the 4 texts and annotate for your yeses and your nos. So stop the text and don't start the text back up until you have finished annotating all of the texts. Welcome back. So if you are starting the video up, that means that you have read and annotated all of the texts for should college athletes be paid. And now you can compare your annotations to mine. You may have underlined different things, but in general you probably should see some similarities for where you put a yes and where I did, or where I put a no and where you did. So you can add to your annotations or just compare and make sure that you're on the right track. So in this first article, I had recorded 3 yeses. And the reason I put 3 different yeses down is because I found 3 reasons that yes, college athletes should be paid. And so I recorded a Y for each of those reasons. So the first reason, if you look over here, the first reason I found is they should be paid because so much money is made from college sports, and others involved in college sports are making a lot of money. So athletes should too. And then I highlighted things that had to do with that reason. So it makes $11 billion in annual revenue from ticket sales, sponsorship rights, and the sale of broadcast rights, and that revenue, all that money, is passed along to executives and athletic directors and coaches, but not to athletes. And I also put that the president, Mark Emmert, made $1.7 million, and that the highest paid public employees, 40 out of the 50 states, it's a university head football or basketball coach. So all of that evidence supported that lots of other people involved in the sport are making money. So the athletes should too. The second yes that I wrote down, the reason I found was that athletes should be paid because many are working really hard but live in below the poverty line. So all the people associated with the sport are making a lot of money, but this I highlighted. A 2011 report said that 85% of college athletes are living below the poverty line. And then my third yes was about antitrust laws. And it was saying that it was illegal not to pay them because the Sherman Antitrust Act says that that is wage fixing, and so that is illegal. So that's what I found from text 1. So compare what you found and see if you need to make any changes. On to text 2. Text 2 had a lot more yeses, but at the very top I found a no. Athletes shouldn't get paid because they get scholarship money, and some of that scholarship money is worth over $100,000. So right at the front, that could be used as a reason to say no, they shouldn't get paid. They already get a free education, and that's enough. But then the rest of text 2 had a lot of yeses in it, so I put yes here that this particular sports economist said that athletes are being exploited or used, and that it's obscene and out of control. And I found that they can have their scholarships taken away. So yeah, maybe they're getting the scholarship, but that could be taken away, and then they would have nothing for all of the work that they did. And then I found a yes that they are working really hard, and so they should be paid for that. And this said that they spend 40 hours a week, and they're more of athlete students than student athletes. They're essentially working full-time jobs. And then some of them are only on partial scholarship, or some of them pay full tuition. And then at the end of text 2, I found a yes that at least the schools who are in the power conferences should pay their athletes because they make a lot of money, and so they have enough money they have enough profit to pay the athletes. Moving on to text 3, I see that the title says that colleges have no reason to pay athletes, so I know I'm going to find some no's now in this text. Also, notice that I have that question up here at the top that I want to have at the top of every text page to remind myself I'm looking for yes, they should be paid, or no, they shouldn't. So here I found several reasons that no, athletes should not be paid. So I highlighted here that they're getting a free education so that they don't need to be paid. Then here I found that those who get a higher education make more money, so these athletes are getting a higher earning potential for their future, so they don't need to be paid. That could be another reason. And then the third reason I found in this article was brand building, that while they're playing college, they're building their brand so that they get well known and they get drafted sooner and they can get endorsements and make more money. And then there was sort of an example of that on the next page talking about Ed O'Banion and saying that after he played for UCLA, where he built his brand and won during March Madness, he got drafted very quickly, even though he didn't really do well in the NBA after that. But because he got to build his brand, it's probably why he got picked for the draft so soon. Okay, one more text. Okay, in text 4, I found more no's. So in this one, I found the reason no, because athletes shouldn't be paid because they get many benefits from scholarships besides their education, like medical and travel expenses, coaching, a national stage to audition for getting onto a professional team after college. They get housing and free meals and tuition and books. And they make, they're reimbursed with nearly as much money as an average American makes per year. And they also get to travel around the world. And then the second reason I found is that they don't have to play for college. No, we don't have to pay athletes at college level because they don't have to do that if they don't want to. They can just choose to go to Canada or overseas until they're eligible to play on a professional team. And so here's the information about that. And then I found one more reason towards the end of text 4, and that was that most colleges can't afford to pay athletes, so that athletes should not be paid. And that talked about 90% of the revenue goes back to the institutions, and that some football and basketball teams make money, but most do not, and that the Division I board wanted to give a $2,000 stipend to athletes, but then 2 months later they had to take it away because they couldn't afford it. So now that you've read all the text and you've compared your annotations to mine, it's time to look and see what reasons do you have. Before you can pick a side that you're going to argue, you have to see which side you have more evidence for. So stop the video and go through and then list on a sheet of paper or on the back of the packet that you have, list the reasons you have for yes, athletes should be paid, or no, athletes should not be paid. Once you have that list done, then turn the video back on. Do not just simply look at my list of reasons. You need to stop the video and create a list of your own, because you got to flex your muscles and start practicing doing this. That's how you're going to improve and be able to do it when you take the test. So stop the video and create your list on your own. Okay, so make sure you stop the video and go and look at your annotations and find the reasons that you can for each side. Okay, welcome back. So you should at this point have already listed your reasons that yes, athletes should be paid, or no, they shouldn't. So I went back and looked through all of my annotations, and I've recorded 3 reasons for each side that I think were the strongest. So I put down, yes, athletes should be paid because others involved in college sports make a lot of money, so why shouldn't the athlete? Because college players work really hard and deserve pay, not to live below the poverty line, and because not paying them breaks antitrust laws. Then I was able to find 3 reasons on the other side as well. They shouldn't be paid because they get a free education and a better chance of making more money in the future. They shouldn't be paid because they get other benefits besides a paycheck, and they shouldn't be paid because most colleges can't afford to pay them. So you could prove either side of the argument. You're really going to have to decide which one you want to do, and then you should be ready to write your essay. So before you start writing your essay, let's just look back at the organizer. So the argument essay has to use 3 of the 4 texts. You're going to state the weaker side of the argument in body 1, and then the stronger side of your argument, the position that you decided to take, in body paragraph 2, and then again in body paragraph 3. You're going to make sure that you state the text number and the line number that gave you the evidence as you write your paper. So just a reminder that you have this paper that tells you sort of what you can write in an introduction, what should be in all of the body paragraphs, and what you should put into the conclusion. So you can look back at this as you're writing your essay. And the first thing I want you to do is just write the introduction. After you write the introduction, and you can use the one we did on Serena Williams as a guide with the sort of stems that I gave you. After you write the introduction, stop the video. Well, stop the video to write the introduction, and then you need to conference with me and show me just your introduction to make sure that that's what you need to do before you move on to the first body paragraph. So reread this introduction and then write one for should athletes be paid, following this format, and then conference with me. So stop the video and do that now. Make sure before you move on to body paragraph 1 that you've conferenced with me about the introduction that you wrote. Now that you've finished your introduction and conference with me, you should be ready to write body paragraph 1, which is the weaker side of the argument, or the position that you chose not to argue. So you're going to start that out with a claim sentence. Make sure you look at the one that we wrote for Serena Williams. So state the side of the argument you're not going to spend the most time on. And then you're going to need to put a piece of evidence in from one of the texts and make sure you say which text you got that evidence from. After you do that, you're going to want to find a way to transition or turn the argument to the side you are going to prove. So here, the weaker side was that she's not a victim of gender bias. And then at the end, you have to turn it to the other side you are going to prove. And this kind of leads you into your second body paragraph. So here we see it says, despite the fact that she broke the rules, Serena was not treated the same way as men are treated. She was treated poorly and unfairly, and therefore she is a victim of gender bias. So we started out with the weak side, but by the end of that paragraph, we turn it to the position we're going to prove. So now you need to stop the video and write your weak side of the argument about whether athletes should be paid or not paid. Start with the weak side and then turn it to the position you're going to prove by the end. And then conference with me so we make sure that body paragraph 1 looks the way it should. Before you write body paragraph 2, go ahead and take a look at the sample from the Serena Williams argument. So body 2 is the strong side claim. So you're going to start out with your claim, and then you're going to give 2 to 3 pieces of evidence to support that claim. You're going to make sure that you mention the text that each piece came from. And notice that you don't have to put like whole sentences of quotes in there. You can just pick little pieces like this, like knock it off, soft warning, that's a double standard, that were in there, and the rest you can paraphrase or put in your own words. Because anything that you have word for word from the text, you have to have in quotes. And if you don't, you'll be marked off for that. And you don't want the whole thing to be just one big long quote. So if you can, try to just pick little parts that help you complete your thoughts but are from the text. And then when you get to the very end, you're going to want to make some sort of statement about the importance or the impact of the claim and the evidence in this paragraph. So read over this example to see how that paragraph is put together, and then stop the video, write your body paragraph 2, your strong side claim, and then conference with me to make sure that you're doing what you need to be doing before you move on to the second strong side claim, body paragraph 3. After you complete your body paragraph 3, which is going to be your second strong side claim with another claim as to why athletes either should or should not be paid, it'll be time for you to write your conclusion. So what you should do in your conclusion, you definitely need to restate your position. So you can say that while some people believe the other side, that is not true or that is not the case, and then restate your position as the correct position and reiterate your reasons. And then you want to talk about what would be improved if people followed or believed the position that you chose. How would things be better? And then try to end with a solid ending sentence. So read over the example here from the Serena Williams argument, and then stop the tape and write your conclusion. When you're done, please make sure you conference with me so we can check it all over, and hopefully you're one step closer to passing that exam and getting ready to graduate. The end.